Now I'm in focus. Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to another video. It's Wednesday and I am in Bahrain, as most of you will know. So where have I been? Well, I haven't really been anywhere. I've been working. There's been a lot of stuff going on. We're still, I know I keep saying this, but we really are still trying to get settled here in Bahrain. It's not easy. I haven't, well, apart from London, I haven't really lived away from home for so long. I know you guys will laugh at about that because it looks like a lot of you think I live in London. We didn't live in London, have an apartment in London, but we don't live in London. Anyway, if I was watching someone else's video, I would think this is clickbait, but it's actually not. Okay, so as you can see by the title of this video, I'm not actually joking. I've been seriously thinking about it. I mentioned it to my friend a few weeks ago. I'm guessing he knew I was serious and he told me not to do it, but I'm really thinking about selling the 911. And just close Natasha's computer because it's very noisy. That's the noise in the background, sorry about that. Okay, and I also don't have a proper tripod today, so it's a bit weird. Anyway, yes, I'm thinking about selling it. Why am I thinking about selling it? Well, I know I've always said that I would always keep this 911 P997, my 997 Carrera. If this is the first time you've watched my videos, this is my car here. I'll just show some old footage. Hopefully it cuts in okay. That's my 997. I've owned it since 2017, January 2017. It's a 2006 model Carrera. It's immaculate. It's Arctic silver. Came with big 20-inch rims, Tech Art rims, Formula Tech Art rims. It's got lowering springs on it. I changed the wheels back to 19-inch Carrera S wheels, the lobster or lobster claws, because I get in trouble for calling them just lobsters. They were customized by Gary from Excel Wheels in the UK. Took them back to Australia in my luggage and got them fitted. A few other mods on the car. There's lots of other videos. If you look at my channel, you can see all the other videos, but it's Vista exhaust and a few other options I've fitted to it. Okay, that's boring for you guys that know me and have followed my journey for a long time. But selling the 9911, why have I considered it? Well, before I left Sydney, I probably mentioned to you guys that I inquired at Auto House Hamilton and I inquired for them to, if they had any storage available, because I remember in a newsletter they sent out to their clients that they had storage. When I contacted them, they said there was nothing available, but something may come up in a few months. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the cost of that storage is 450 Australian dollars per calendar month. I think plus GST, so maybe it's plus 10%. So let's just say $500 a month. There was nothing available at the time, so my car is just stored in another location, but I want to, if I'm going to keep the car, if I was going to keep the car, I do want to have it stored in another location where it can be checked and where it can be looked after, so I don't have to burden, you know, friends and family to keep checking on it for me. The problem is they don't have any spaces. Now, if they don't have any spaces, when I go back to Sydney at Christmas, I have very limited time to find a storage facility for the car. Sydney, there doesn't seem to be a lot of storage facilities. In London, there's a lot. Windrush, for example, in London is really good. So the only other one is Classic Throttle Shop in Sydney, and you guys from Australia will know that store. It's in North Sydney. They sell a lot of unique cars, classic cars, Porsches, Ferraris, etc. So they've got storage as well. I think theirs is $550 per calendar month. So we're looking at $500 a month, $550 a month Australian. So you know what's that? That's $6,000. 6,000 Aussie dollars, Australian dollars per year. On top of that, you know, I have to think about the costs. It's not like, and I'm not going to sound, I don't want to sound like a twat. I'll say the word twat. It's probably not twat. I was going to say something that started with D, but I'll just say twat. It's not like I can't afford to upkeep it, but it's still money that can be put into other areas, and it's money that I'm still considering. And my challenge is I still don't have a car in Bahrain. I'm using an old office car, which is awful. It's an A6, but it's awful. I just need to be sensible and just I want to make the right decision here. I keep thinking in Bahrain I need an SUV. I keep going back and forwards to 911s. Obviously a 911 is going to cost me probably some more money than what I want to spend. I have to be sensible. It's a 2 to 4, it's minimum 2, possibly 4 year period here. So longer period, it's okay. If it ends up being a shorter period, it's not so okay. And I also have to look into the finance here. That's another video, but that's where I'm at. So I've got the cost, then I've got the cost of insurance. I got the cost of my number plates, my P997 number plates, which cost every year. But if I stored the car, or I sold the car, I would not dispose of those plates with the car. If I sold the car, I would keep them. So I have to think about registration insurance costs of around $1,500 per year. I have to think of the servicing costs that I would still service the car even though it's not driven. I think that's what you have to do. That's what I would do. So, you have to estimate another, I don't know, $1,000, $1,500 there. And obviously, other things might come up that need to be done. I mean, if it's driven very little, I doubt it. My Porsche insurance, my insurance from Porsche Insurance is only limited a number of times you're supposed to drive the car a year, so it's quite a cheap insurance. Cheap relatively to a one that you're using on a daily basis, a Porsche on a daily basis. But I have to think about these costs. And then the other side of it is, apart from the storage, apart from the general upkeep, and the general upkeep is costing you even though you're not driving a car. So if I buy another car here, then I've got the cost of 2 cars. This is always my dilemma, because honestly, I would rather put the money that I was spending on a car here into a car in Australia. I'd rather put money into a GT3 or a better GT3, possibly upgrade the 997 or get both. That's kind of where I'm at, you know what I mean? But that's a silly scenario, because we're here and I have to have something here, and having something in Australia now seems a little bit frivolous, I guess. I don't know, is that the word? Maybe frivolous. The other concern I have too is I'm not worried about IMS. I know I've had a couple of comments on my earlier videos about IMS. I'm not really, and I know I'm going to get bashed for this in the comments by some people, but I'm not worried about the IMS so much. IMS, as you know, when I bought the car, I read up a lot about it. The car was PPI'd. I know it can still happen. It's more of an issue on 0405s. Mine's got the slightly larger bearing, 06, engine number tells us that. Carrera S of 04 and 05 is more susceptible to failure. Excuse me. But then there's also that other thing in the back of my head that I keep reading. When a car is not driven, when the 911 is not driven, it doesn't matter what year your IMS is, it doesn't matter what it is, because if it's not driven enough, this is when issues start to arise. Now, I don't know how true that is. If you know more about that, I don't want to get into another IMS discussion, but if you know more about that, let me know. But I have heard that if it's not driven enough, then you encounter issues. So that's my other concern. This is the other reason why I feel like maybe I do need to sell the Carrera. And I say that, and I do actually say that thinking, what am I saying? I don't want to sell it. And if I do sell it, I have limited time to do it. I'm going to be back in Sydney for maybe a month at Christmas, but obviously I'd get Auto House Hamilton to look after the sale for me. But and also prices are down at the moment. This is the other thing that I worry about. Like, if I do sell it, is it a stupid time to sell? Because prices are a little bit down. There is a little bit of lack of confidence in the market, and in Australia it's mainly due to the housing market. Obviously in the UK there's also a lot of lack of confidence due to Brexit. So there's a lot going on in the world which really does affect car prices. And you can see, the other day I was looking at Mercedes AMG GTR. AMG GTRs were selling for $350,000 not that long ago, used. One sold the other day with 6,000 or 7,000 kilometers in Sydney for like $240,000. Now that to me is crazy, and Mercs always devaluate very quickly. I think they've devaluated a lot quicker than Porsches. And obviously buying a 997, you buy it at the bottom of the depreciation curve. You're buying it at the bottom of the curve, so you're not really going to lose money. But if you're going to sell a car, and you're going to sell a car like a Porsche, you do need to sell it at the right time. this is my other concern. I don't know whether it's really the right time. The other thing, which I never get to drive it. You know, I know you need to drive it to keep it, you know, in tune, but I never get to drive it because I've been away now since June. So what's that? I've been away for 3 months. Usually when we're based in London, we would be away for about 3 months. We go back to Sydney for a little bit, for a month, 6 weeks, and then we come back. I mean, that was always our sort of routine. This time around, we're not going back to Christmas, and you know, it's going to be a shorter period. So I miss driving it. I really miss driving it, and I think it's just not, I don't know, it's not, to me it's not right that it just sits there and it doesn't get driven. Yeah, lend it to someone else maybe, that could be a suggestion, but you know, you don't do that with your car. You can't just let someone drive your car. There's probably like one person who I trust looking after and driving my car, and I think they know who that is. So basically at this point in the video, I've actually just confused myself. There seems to be more reason to sell the 911. There seems to be more reason to sell it and keep the money aside and put that to the GT3 fund, put that to the 997 GT3 fund when I go back to Sydney. Obviously then GT3s are going to be a lot more expensive. Then on the other hand, do I sell the 911 Carrera and do I buy a GT3 now, but then I put that in storage. So then I'm spending another 100,000 Australian dollars on top of what my car's worth to get the same, well, 07, 08, 997 GT3, which is sitting at about 195,000 Australian dollars at the moment. In fact, today my mate just sent me the absolutely perfect Atlas Grey 997 GT3, proper seats, everything, 38,000 kilometers. Perfect, 195. Look, and I would have jumped on it, but it's a scenario, but it feels like a crazy scenario to buy. You know what I mean? It feels like a crazy thing to do that and then buy the GT3 and then put it in storage. Maybe it's not. Maybe the GT3 will go up a lot more. GT3 doesn't have any serious issues except the coolant lines on the GT3 you have to get pinned because they break or whatever. I don't know the technical term because it happened to my mate's car not long ago. And it's all over the GT3 forum. So that's probably the main concern of the GT3, but then you've got the IMS with the 997 Mark 1. So I don't know, what shall I do? Am I being ridiculous? Am I just going on? I don't know. I mean, should I sell it? I don't even know what I get for it now. I really don't. It's such a fantastic car, it really is. I don't want to sell it. I look at pictures of it again and I watch old videos every now and again here that I have, and I don't know, I don't want to sell it, but I just don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. I'm dying here though, guys. I'm actually dying, and I know that people will say, what's wrong with you? It's just a car, but I'm dying here without the release or the outlet that I have in Sydney, which is the 911. And as I've said many times before, when you own one or when you've driven one, you realize when the bug hits you and you realize that feeling that you get. And as one of my other videos, I'll probably put a link, hopefully I remember. I'll probably put a link, but you know, the 5 things that I love about the 997, I think I called it, they're true. You know what I mean? And on a weekend here in Bahrain, I go out in the Audi A6 that they've given me with warning buzzers going on everywhere, windscreen wipers not working, not windscreen wipers, windscreen washer not working, you know, no lights half the time, you know, it's a nightmare. Yes, I have to do something about it. Still trying to be sensible, even in Bahrain. Anyway, that's the video for today. Good to see you guys again. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and notifications so you know when my videos are coming. I'm gonna make a few in the next few days. They won't all be Porsche, there'll be a watch one in there as well. Pretty important watch purchase that I've just made. And that's about it. Till next time, bye for now.